Hello everyone, welcome to the Composable Commerce podcast. In this podcast we cover the essentials of building composable commerce for your brand, and we all not only talk about the business benefits for doing headless commerce, but also break down the technical challenges that come with it. So things like managing replatforming, integrations, and go live time. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how we arrived at this headless commerce concept, what caused us to rethink the way we organize our stack for e-commerce and our shift from monolithic platforms. I guess before we get into the details about how and why we have headless commerce, I think we should give everybody a little bit of context about how we even arrived and why. Not even why, but what is traditional e-commerce? What does it mean to have a monolithic system? So I think the easiest way to describe it is that in traditional and monolithic systems, there was kind of a monogamous relationship between the front end and the back end, where you had one front end that went with one back end, and they were very tightly coupled. And if you want to touch something, they're basically entangled in one thing. If you want to do something in the front end, you have to do it in the back end.
So if we take an example of the product review, which is a part of product information management, if we see, and in the earlier stages in the traditional commerce, the developer used to, if we want to have any changes in the review side, product review side, so we have to make certain changes in the backend also. There was an underlying database code which needs to be updated with the product review changes. If you want to do the update any product in the product review. So this was the dependency which was involved, and after that, if everything is tested and ready to deploy, so whole system was needed to be deployed at once. It was not the single stack which needs to be deployed.
Okay, so if I'm like changing something in my product information management and it was just like a small tweak, I would still have to run through the entire system where that was connected, where it was connecting to, and I would have to do a full sweep of the whole system. Cool.
Yes.
Naturally, to kind of combat these problems, people started to come up with ways to deconstruct this whole situation and let themselves, like for example, like where you said you have to test the whole system. So way to modularize these places so that you can test certain pieces of the system individually and still have a whole running system.
Yes.
So I think that concept now is called headless commerce, which is what this episode's about and why we need headless commerce and where that's going to take us in the future. So what would you say are like the core concepts or like the essentials of why people are doing headless and like where they're getting their, like what aspects they're being freed in?
On the headless, if I say in a simple words, so it's like the decoupling of the storefront, which is on the customer experience side, and the backend, which is the infrastructure side. So this decoupling helps the brand owners or the merchants, helps a lot to go with the multiple channels and to do the customization or the personalization for the customers.
Okay, so it's really just freeing up a lot of customization for the customer, like the storefront side too.
Yes.
So along with that, I know there's this great thing where people are moving to PWAs, and that's enabled by headless systems because of their API first approach that we'll get into later about what it means to have an API first approach. The biggest things that it allows is that with a monolithic system, even if you want to tweak the UI of your front end, if you have like this basic out-of-the-box theme and you want to like switch something around, all of that still requires you to tinker with the back-end code of your whole monolith system too, and freeing yourself from that lets you more easily test out new things, new features and stuff like that. I think it reduces that time by like 80% for most people.
Yes.
Which is really helpful.
So yeah, I completely agree with you on this, and as per the marketing trends we see, so market is changing a lot, and they are the rapid changes we are seeing.
Yeah.
So merchants or the brands have to cope up with the market and do the certain upgradations and updates they have to bring to their e-commerce so that they are in the competition.
Right.
So for that they need to be updated with the market, and PWA allows them with this thing.
Yeah.
They get the updations, they do the updations, and they get the features which are needed for the customers, and it's very easy for them to onboard any feature and get it on live for the production.
So what would you say are like some of the critical things that people are switching around now that they have like a headless system? Like what are they able to PWA is one of them, but like are there any other things that people are ditching from the monolith and like using best of breed solutions for?
So if we talk about the best of breed solution, so in the monolithic architecture we say that yes, if we talk about the PIM or the WMS, so there are certain best softwares available in the market which are far better than the monolithic architecture if we get the PIM out of the box. So for that, they need the upgradations and they need the changes, that they need to adopt the best of breed softwares on their to have on their platform. I know it's quite costly, but if they get the best of the breed software, so it will definitely directly impact to their businesses.
PIM and WMS is what I'm hearing is like the main areas that people are doing. I also heard that people are really interested in like trying out new search technologies, because that's something that's been really rapidly evolving with like AI and machine learning, stuff like that.
Yes. So with this, you are right. With this, we say the search. With this, the CDP is also involved, the customer data platform. So brands are evaluating the best of breed software in the CDP, in the WMS, in the PIM, in the search side, so that they can get the best software for their websites, and they can give the best experience and the seamless and the personalized experience to the customers.
Yeah.
For that, they want to have the best of the breed softwares, and this is need of the hour. As being headless commerce, they can have the unlimited data points or the touch points they can have, and they can interact with any software they want seamlessly.
Yeah, the unlimited touchpoint thing is.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think we're going to want to do a full episode around the power of having unlimited touchpoints for your.
Yeah, we have a lot to tell about the unlimited touchpoints and the channels where customers are going to interact with the brands, and brands are lagging, and how they can overcome these situations. Definitely, we will cover that.
Before we got all of these like headless systems, though, people were still trying to achieve this whole thing of using maybe like Shopify for just the e-commerce part, and then like mixing and matching their best of breed, their choice of systems through this thing called like an enablement layer.
Yes. So Shopify is not headless from day one.
Traditional
Shopify.
Yeah.
Yes. Traditional Shopify was not headless from day one. So what they were doing, they were creating the open APIs for the other third-party softwares, and they were integrating with them so that they can give the customer, they can give the headless-like experience to them. But it's not headless. So this was the cost was also involved in this, and the time was also involved in this. I think it generally take 8,000 hours for implementing or executing any third-party software integrating with Shopify.
Right. Well, I think it used to take 8,000. I think now people are starting to create their own like predefined enablement layers that have cut that down. But yeah, if you go out there and try to take traditional Shopify yourself and convert it into this headless thing, it's going to take you, like you said, 8,000 hours.
Yes. So directly with the time, the cost is also involved.
Yeah.
And customer and the merchants have to see this also.
Yeah.
So I think this was we can say the pre-headless commerce side which Shopify was doing.
Yeah. Shopify's big customers were actually, I think, still benefiting from this, because even though the cost was high, their volume was so high that they were able to make up for that cost and still sink in that money into those projects. I know I was listening to I was either reading an article, I think I was listening to another podcast about headless commerce, and that guy was talking about, if I remember his company, I'll list it down below in the comments and the description, but he was talking about how he was actually losing money on all of these Shopify implementations he was doing with this enablement layer, because it was so extensive and it was just so resource intensive. So
so I think large enterprises can bear this cost, but what about the small and the medium enterprises? Right. So they don't go to Shopify because of the cost and the everything which is involved for the enablement layer we are talking about.
Well, because you go to Shopify in the first place because it is cheap, and then if you want to expand it, it becomes dramatically expensive. Yes.
So many customization is involved. Yeah. So many integrations are involved. So with the headless commerce, if we talk about the API first headless commerce, so customer can get the pre-integrated best of breed software. They should explore the other platforms also, and they should see that where they can get these things. Because market is not all about Shopify and Magento. There are certain platforms which are giving the API first headless commerce SaaS platform. It's software as a service platform. So they should explore the market also, and they should see that what's best fit for their business.
Right.
Not everything which everyone is approaching or taking it.
Right. moving on to how Headless solves these problems for smaller merchants and gets them a cheaper headless solution. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but basically how you set up a headless system, like when you're creating a headless product, the way you do it is you start by taking a robust API first approach, right?
Yes. It's fully API driven model.
Okay.
So we have to it's like a heart.
Yeah.
Headless commerce is a heart and everything is a body part, which is fulfilling the whole system and running the whole system.
Right.
So with the headless commerce, we can have the storefront also, which can be on the view storefront, which is PW driven. We can have the product information management also, and the other best of breed software also.
Okay.
And these can be seamlessly integrated with headless commerce so that every system can talk to each other and there is a seamless flow of the data.
Yeah, actually, I think it's important to keep in mind that even all headless systems aren't created equal. I think there's three main different ways that you can approach a headless system. There's like I don't remember them all right now, but there's like an experience first approach, and then
it's commerce led
experience, and then a customer led one.
Customer led, commerce led, and experience led. Yes.
So there's these three different approaches, and I think we'll go into detail about what differentiates these later in some other episodes.
Definitely, we will do that.
Yeah, so that's also important when we're choosing headless systems. Which one fits our needs depends on which architecture. It
totally depends on the customer need and what they want.
Yeah.
How this software best fit in their business. They need to think. They need to evaluate this. Yeah. This is more important.
Right. Regardless of what architecture you choose for your headless commerce, the nice thing about having this industry be more and more evolved is back in the day when you started with a headless system, you not only were responsible for creating that enablement layer, but then you were responsible for going out and integrating all of them as a brand. But I know recently, you can shed more light on this, is more and more of these headless systems are creating pre-integrated partnerships, basically, right?
Yes. So it's important in the business side also to create the pre-integrations with the software also, because if we say that, yes, we have headless, and you can take it and you can do the integration with all the other parties.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for the business, for the merchants. So what we say that, yes, we have headless and we have integrated all the best of breed software with it, so that you can get the best thing from it. So it's like the integration with the best of the breed softwares.
Okay.
So yes, companies are doing, definitely the platform providers are integrating with the best of breed softwares so that they can give the customer a good experience, and the merchants can give this experience to the customers, because it's all about the customer, and it's their experience and their experience.
So in a way, with these pre-integrated headless solutions and these supporting modules, you're kind of getting best of both worlds, where in traditional, the biggest selling point was everything's in one thing, you flip on one switch and everything's ready to go. Now when we have these pre-integrated headless solutions, you have the flexibility down the road to change it up how you want. But day one, you can get this pre-packaged solution that's ready to go almost. And they're getting closer and closer. I don't know if any of them are quite there yet, but they're getting closer and closer to just come in, sign up for it, and you're ready to go with best of breed solutions across the board.
Yes. If we talk about the headless commerce and the pre-integration with them, so one of the major thing we talk about headless, it's back-end and the front-end. Yeah. And from the front-end side, we say the customers, the companies are preparing themselves to have the pre-integration ready with the storefront also. This helps the brands also to be on board in a simpler way or in a fast way, because they don't need to do everything from the scratch. They don't need to build a UI UX from the scratch. So they get the pre-integration with the storefront also, and it's future ready platform, I say. And definitely this pre-integration help the brands to move forward also.
Okay. Yeah, and it's important to realize that having a pre-integrated front-end solution is not just about having a UI theme. It's also that there's a lot of JavaScript and basically a whole, when you make a PWA, there's a mini e-commerce engine basically running within that based on microservices. We'll go into detail about what it means to have a PWA and the advantages of that later. But yeah, so that's like the big thing that why people are moving to headless is to enable themselves to come up with these PWAs.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so there was a time where when the customer used to download or install the native apps.
Yeah, when was that? Never. They tried to get us to do it, but it never worked.
Yeah, so definitely, so brand introduce their different apps and they force customers to install and make the purchase from them. So from that, the customer gets frustrated.
Yeah, definitely.
So they don't want to install every app and they don't want to do the purchase. But the brands was forcing them to download the app, and from there they get the certain notifications. So customer get frustrated on that side.
Yeah.
So this was not good for the long run for the brands.
Right.
So I completely agree that the PWA, which gives the app-like features to the customers, and they can do the seamless shopping from that site. So it's definitely a good thing for them.
PWA is kind of like 2% milk. It's milk, but it's not none of the fat.
Yeah.
That's great. And then PWA, you can do a PWA without a headless system, but you're kind of missing the point of doing it if you're not using an API-driven system. I think you also lose some of the speed factors and the ability to have like customizability, all that, because the microservice architecture that lends itself to being more optimized for an API-first approach. Also, with PWA, people are optimizing for mobile first. It's a whole other can of worms to get into why you should be designing your website mobile first.
Definitely, we can pick this in another episode about the PWA thing.
So I think we've covered pretty much everything we wanted to say about headless commerce. I don't know if you have anything left that you think everybody. So there should be like something that people, if they don't listen to this whole thing, they should have one sentence with them. What should it be?
I think in a nutshell, if we talk, so we can say that yes, headless is the need of the hour. And people should explore the other platforms other than the Shopify or the Magento they are talking about. So they should see that yes, what the headless is and how the system is helping me to be best fit for my business. So they need to think and they need to explore the other platform also. It's not about that yes, everyone is buying this platform, so I should also buy this. Right. It's not like that. They should explore that other platforms, and they should see which platform best fit for me.
Great. So I think we'll call it a wrap there for the first episode of the Composable Commerce podcast.
Yeah.
The next episode we'll be talking about.
It's about the unlimited channels and the touch points.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks.